This lesson is on writing the equation of a line. We've been doing this for a few years, but I want to make sure everybody's comfortable with it. We'll start with vocabulary. On your sheet, you should have a place to insert some vocabulary. So pause the video for just a minute and write down the key information on this vocabulary, please. Okay, slope-intercept form is the standard form, the standard form of the equation. The slope-intercept form of the equation is the typical form of the equation that we use all the time. Y equals mx plus b, okay? So in that, obviously, the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept, and it tells you information about the graph of that line. There's another form that you might have been introduced to last year and you might not. It's called point-slope form. Point-slope form is useful when you're trying to find the equation of a line and you have the slope and a point. Point-slope, okay? We're going to be using that. Parallel lines, just as a quick reminder, are lines that have the same slope but a different intercept. And perpendicular lines are lines whose slopes are negative and reciprocals of each other. That means that they are flipped and made the opposite sign. Okay? That's very important information. Okay, so when we're trying to find the equation of a line, for the most part, our goal is to get to y equals mx plus b and get those numbers in the right place. In order to do that, we need to know the slope and we need to find the y-intercept. Those are the two pieces of the puzzle that we have to put together. Now, the easy way is when you're given a question that says something like this. Write the equation of a line with a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of negative 3. Yay! Y equals 4x minus 3. You're done. Okay? But you don't get those very often. That's very much of a 8th grade sort of a question, unfortunately. So let's talk about the kind of things that you're going to have to be able to do. First off, find the slope. So sometimes it's given to you, like in that last problem, and then you don't have to do anything. Sometimes they give you another line, and you're going to take your slope from that line parallel or perpendicular to your line. That's when you would say, oh, if it's parallel, I'll just take the same slope exactly the way it is and make no changes. If it's perpendicular, I'll take the slope out of the other line, flip it, and change the sign on it, and now I'll have the slope for my new line. So that's one way of getting it. Sometimes you're given simply 2 points, and you have to find the slope between the points and then use the point-slope formula. So just as a quick reminder, we have this formula, y2 minus y1 equals over x2 minus x1. That's the standard slope equation. So that works by saying, I just take a look at this and I see my x's are first and my y's are second. I'm going to subtract the y's, 5 minus 4, and then put on the bottom, subtract the x's, 3 minus 2. So my numerator is 1, my denominator is 1, 1 over 1 equals 1. So the slope between these 2 points is 1. So that's this other way that I would find the slope. Now, once I have the slope, I'm going to start using this point-slope form. So this is my equation. M equals the slope, just like it always does. The x1 and the y1 actually represent the two numbers that are the ordered pair that you're given, because you have to be given a point of some kind in order to use the point-slope form. So one important thing that students sometimes get confused about is we're going to leave the first y and the first x, the plain ones without any subscripts on them, we're leaving those alone when we work this equation. So here's a sample question. What is the equation of a line through 2, 1 with a slope of 4? So now I'm given the slope, so first thing I do is I come down, I put my slope in place of the m. Now, remember this one is y1, so I look at my equation and I see that this is y1, and I put it in. Then this is x1 over here, so I plug that in. Y minus 1 equals 4 times x minus 2. Okay? Now I'm simply going to work the equation. I distribute on the right-hand side. I add 1 to both sides, and I end up with an equation y equals 4x minus 7. It's in slope-intercept form. It's finished. Okay? This is the screen you're going to come back to if, when you go to do your practice, you're struggling with using the point-slope form. Okay, here's another type of problem that's typical. Find the line parallel to this line through this point. As soon as I see the word parallel, I'm thinking, oh, parallel means the same slope. So let me go down here and snag this slope and put it in. That's the only thing I want from that first line. I don't care about any other information. Now I need to look at this point. This is the point that I'm going to use for my point slope formula. So I have y minus 4 equals the slope of x minus x, which was the 8. This is me plugging into this point slope, showing the distribution here. And I get y minus 4 equals 1/2 of x minus 1/2 of 8, or 4. I add 4 to both sides, and I'm ending up with y equals 1/2 x, and I'm finished. There's no intercept here. That tells me the intercept is 0, so it goes through 0. 0, 0. Now, it's time to practice this. What is the equation of the line through these 2 points? Second question, what is the equation of a line perpendicular to this and through this point? So pause the video, see if you can do these on your own, and then come back and get help if you need it. Let's see, I need a marker. What is the equation of the line through these 2 points? Well, the first thing I notice is I don't have a slope. Step 1, I better find the slope. So I'm going to subtract the 2 y's and get 4 minus 1. Now I'm going to subtract the 2 x's, 6 minus negative 2. Pay attention to those negatives because that's going to matter. So 4 minus 1 is 3. 6 minus negative 2 is really 6 plus 2, or 8. So that's my slope. Now I'm ready to do the point slope formula. Now, it doesn't matter which of these 2 points I use for my point slope formula. So I'm going to just pick, let's see, I'll pick the first one. Y minus 1 equals the slope times x minus negative 2. Once again, notice my negatives. That's going to be important. So now we need to distribute. Y minus 1 equals 3/8 x plus 3/8 times 2. 3/8 times 2 is 6/8, which is what? 3/4. Okay? Y minus 1 equals 3/8 x plus 3/4. You have to add 1 to both sides. So 3/4 plus 1 is 3/4 plus 4/4, or 7/4. And my final answer here would be y equals 3/8 x plus 7/4. Okay? Don't let those fractions mess you up. Just work through them carefully. What is the equation of the line perpendicular? That's the important piece of information to this line right here. So first thing I do is I go find that slope. I see perpendicular. That tells me I don't want to keep it like it is. I want to flip it and make it the opposite sign. So it was negative, now it's positive. It was 3/4, now it's 4/3. That's going to be my slope. And here's my point, so I'm going to write y minus y equals slope times x minus 3. Okay, same process. Let's distribute. Y minus 2 equals 4/3 x minus 4/3 times 3. In this case, we're lucky. That 3 is going to cancel out my denominator, so I get rid of my fraction. So now I have plus 2 to both sides. Y equals 4/3 x minus 2. It was 4 minus 4, and I added 2, and I got minus 2. Okay? Now, if you had trouble with those, you need to go back and watch this video again or another video, and when you finish, please do the quiz at the end. Okay? You can bring questions to class if you have questions, but the expectation is that you have mastered this before you come to class.